I started using Flipgrid in 2008 when I taught 5th grade math and social studies. 2018, sorry. I was almost in high school still in 2008. But, so I started using this in my math and social studies classroom as a form of formative assessment, and it has made a huge impact when I was teaching. So I'm just gonna tell you a little bit about my experience with Flipgrid as I go through, but I'm gonna give you some of the basics and kind of give you a little training on it first. So the main thing of Flipgrid is they say empower every voice. They want to empower students to be able to use their voice, make connections with students, and just share what they know. So the Flipgrid mission is empower every learner on the planet to share their voice and respect the diverse voices of others. So there's a lot of reasons why I think you should use Flipgrid. It's engaged in learning. Students love it. They get excited when they come in and see that we're doing Flipgrid. They really take ownership in their work. I've had a lot of shy, quiet students who don't really talk much in class, and then we do Flipgrid videos, and I see a whole different side of these students. All of a sudden, they have all this personality because they think it's like YouTube. So really, they're learning, but they're super pumped to do it. Flipgrid builds a sense of community in your classroom. Like I said, I had those quiet, shy students who might not have talked much in my classroom, but when they got on here on Flipgrid, they were sharing everything they knew about math, and I was like, wow, even though that kid knew that stuff. So it's pretty cool. It gives students a voice, and I use it all the time as a formative assessment tool. And students can teach each other and collaborate, which is probably some of my favorite features. And there's so many ways you can use Flipgrid, and it doesn't have to just be in your classroom. Pre-K through 8, there's tons of ways. I use it for icebreakers, goals. I don't use book talks because I never taught reading. You can use grid pals, and that's something kind of like our 3rd grade's doing this year. They're doing their pen pals, and they're using Flipgrid to connect with the students at the high school. So instead of writing letters, they're now using Flipgrid. So it's a more digital way of having a pen pal. With the grid pals, you can find anyone in the country and basically be a pen pal. It's pretty cool. It's anyone who's on Flipgrid. So here's just a ton of ways. I'll give you a second to look through some of those. And we've actually, I guess, kind of used it with some staff already, so that's an option as well. This is actually really secure and safe for students. So in our 3rd through 5th grade, at least, we're one-to-one with Chromebooks, and they all have Gmail accounts. So our students log in 3rd through 5th grade through Gmail, and I set up my grid so that way you can only access it if you have a USD 109 email. So if you don't have a USD 109 email, you can't access our grid, and our grid is kind of like our classroom. The younger kids, I thought it'd be really hard. I actually do this with kindergarten through 5th grade. So I'm giving kindergartners an iPad and letting them tell me about what they're learning. So it's harder with kindergarten, but they can still do it. So when they log in, I actually had to create a code for each kid. And it's a little time consuming at first, but I created a code for each kid in kindergarten through 2nd grade. And it prints out like a little ID badge, and it has a QR code. So we use iPads in kindergarten through 2nd grade, so those kids can go up there, scan their code, and they're right into the question they need to do. So it's still safe. They can only access it if they have their code, and then students can log in with their school emails. So 2 options of how you can log in. A grid is your personal community. So I have a grid right now for my 5th grade STEM class, my 4th grade STEM class. Every single class I've created a grid for, and that's where students can go on and share. I know I've shared some of our grids with our principal before, and she's looked in at them. And what's really fun is since I'm the STEM teacher, I can put teachers in there as co-pilots, and what that means is anything I do in the STEM lab, those classroom teachers can hop on and actually see what their kids are doing in STEM. So it's a great way for everyone to be involved and see what kids are learning. So this is kind of like what it looks like when you sign in. I have 13 grids, and it shows my total engagement, 6 days, 15 hours. So that's how much time my students have spent watching their Flipgrid videos. So more specifically, here's my 5th grade STEM. I've only posted 3 topics. They've watched those videos for 36.3 hours outside of school. They watched those videos 1,922 times. It's less than 40 kids, and they are engaged, learning about STEM. Flipgrid really provides a great way for students to reflect. They're learning from each other. They can compare their learning. about thinking. It helps lead to the metacognition. It provides a rich platform for pedagogical learning strategies. They can assess their prior knowledge and check for understanding and reflection. So this one shows you a little bit more about what I did in 5th grade math. I started using Flipgrid in December, and then this is December to May of 2019, so a few months with my 5th graders. I posted 23 questions, and some of those questions were, we were getting ready to review. Maybe a test is coming up, and I put 5 different questions on there and let the kids choose which ones they wanted to do. They were all a review question that I literally took off the book review. I let kids pick which one they wanted to do. They didn't really know. I put the codes on the board, they picked a code, and I'm like, oh, okay, this is the question I'm answering. Outside of school, they spent 62.6 hours learning about math. Just math, because that's all I really did on here. They watched their math videos 3,422 times outside of my classroom. So this is all time that kids are spending learning math. So obviously the kids like it. They can respond to each other's videos. There's all sorts of things they can do. So we did a brownie one here, and kids can actually respond to each other on there. You can watch the video. I can easily leave feedback and comments. It's really user-friendly. But I mean math, 5th grade math, and this is how much kids are using it. 62.6 hours outside of my room. The nice thing, I know when I first started doing this, I was kind of overwhelmed. I didn't have a lot of time. The nice thing is, there's this thing called the Disco Library, and they have tons of pre-made topics for you. There's 11,000 topics right now in the Disco Library that are already created. I mean, everything from high school, professional development, to elementary. I mean, when I was teaching fractions, I'd hop in there and be like, multiplying fractions, and I would have probably 200 or more options of a question that I could use. And I could just click on it and then use that then with my class. Especially like 100th day of school, you know, even Martin Luther King Day. Every topic you can think of, they have something on here. I now am a STEM teacher, so I do a lot with coding. And I thought, there's not going to be a whole lot on robotics and coding. Well, I typed in code.org on there to see if there was any topics, and I was mind blown with how many topics were already on there. So I didn't even have to do the work. Someone already did it for me. And I just had to add the topic to my classroom. They also go with a lot of different apps. So I kind of had a little video in here about the Disco Library. We don't have to watch it, but the Disco Library is where you find all of the pre-made topics. Like I said, there's over 11,000. This is kind of what it looks like when you first get there. One of my favorite features of Flipgrid is actually called Flipgrid AR. So AR stands for augmented reality, and that's like that code I had in the beginning. With that QR code, a student can scan it with their iPad, with their Chromebook. I scan it with my phone, and that video comes to life. It like pops out of your screen, and the kids love it because they're like, wow, you know, the video is right there in front of them. So with the AR, it's a type of interactive reality-based display environment and takes the capabilities of a computer-generated display, sound, text, and effects. So, I mean, the kids like when they can zoom in, you're like looking up someone's nose, you can go back. It's really cool. So where can you use this? When I first started doing this in the STEM lab, I couldn't figure out how this would really be beneficial to me. And then I quickly found that I use it a lot. I have 30 minutes in my class time. And I do a lot of hands-on projects in small groups, and so often I have kids who can't remember directions. We're in small groups. If I'm over here helping your group, and we only have 30 minutes in this class, this group over here needs help. If I'm helping her, this group might have to wait, and I'm wasting their class time. I don't want to do that. So what I did is I went and I created a Flipgrid video of my directions. So when we're building robots, it tells you, here's how you get back to find your robot. Here's what you can do next if you're stuck. So when a kid needs help, if I'm helping her, they can just go up, scan it, and I come right out and I'm telling them, here's how you do it. And they're like, oh, okay, cool, I remember. And then they go back and they're able to do their work. Another place I've done it is, so we do a lot of projects. We did some Christmas STEM projects before Christmas, obviously, so it's Christmas. And so we made all different sorts of trees with different objects, with popsicle sticks, tissue paper. Basically, the students had to go in and do the presentation stage and show, what they build their tree out of, how did they make it, what was the hardest part. So once they created those videos, I printed the QR code and I stuck it on there with their little Christmas tree. So then after all the, I think I did it 3rd through 5th grade, after all the trees were built, I had all the kids going through, like, running to different ones with the iPads, trying to watch the video to see who made that one, how did they make it. We've also done when we did a pumpkin pulley system. I did 3rd through 5th grade, made pumpkin pulleys, and then I had them sitting on the windowsill, and the kids would run by with their iPad and scan them, and they had to watch all the videos. So I had 3rd graders interacting with 5th graders, with 4th graders. Everyone was learning from each other, and like, wow, that was a cool idea. I didn't think of that. Another way you could do it is book reviews. Once students read a book, they could go ahead and hop on Flipgrid, create a book review, and you could print that QR code and stick it inside of that book. So when the next kid gets it, they could easily just scan it and be like, oh, that book looks really cool. I think I want to watch that or read that. So I use it for in-text directions. You can do in-text explanation, display students' work. We had a lot of teachers this year decide that they were going to use Flipgrid for parent-teacher conferences. So it was a great way for students to kind of say what they were learning, what they've done, and we even did this with kindergarten. I went in and helped kindergarten. I sat with every single kindergartner in the hallway and we created a Flipgrid video. And afterwards, I helped the teacher print the QR codes. We stuck them in that folder, and when parents got there, all we did was scan that, and the parents were seeing their kids say, this is how my day is. This is what I'm learning in kindergarten. This is what I've done. I know we did it in kindergarten, and I know we did it in 4th grade. So that's a great way. Kindergartners aren't there at conferences, but you're seeing, wow, my students speaking in front of the camera. They're explaining what they've done. So there's so many cool benefits to this. Flipgrid AR videos are super easy to make. They're the same way you make a regular Flipgrid video. You just print the QR codes. It's the only difference. So this kind of tells you how you would do that. After you create your video, you just print the code. And as soon as you scan that, your video is going to come to life, and it's instantly a Flipgrid AR video. So now you're not taking technology, but you also have augmented reality. So it's a whole another feature of technology that you're introducing to your students. So here's just an example of how I did this in my classroom one day. So we were doing our pumpkin elevators, and I had this on the front of the board. It said, use Flipgrid to present your elevator. We're doing the design process. The last step is presentation. Instead of having kids stand up here and talk about their presentation, like I said, I have 30 minutes. I don't have time. But when the kids create their Flipgrid video, they can now go through and scan everyone's project. So at the end, I'm around helping all my students create their elevators because pumpkin elevators are kind of hard to make. So when they were done, the kids saw the QR code. They knew to grab an iPad, go up and scan it. Oop. Are we going to play? Not going to play? All right. We're not going to play it. But here's another example. I have technology badges for each grade in the hallway. So these are some badges that the students have earned. And I knew I wouldn't have a lot of parents come my way for parent-teacher conferences, but I thought students know what those QR codes mean. And as soon as they see them, they're going to be like, hey, Mom, scan that code. So I put these codes in the hallway, and they explained what each grade level was doing, how they earned their codes. So if I wasn't there, parents were still figuring out what we're doing in the STEM lab. And let me tell you, that's a frequented area. The kids love the STEM lab. So this is kind of like what it looks like. When you have your responses that the students make, it looks just like this. This is kind of like the question I had up here, and this is one of the students' responses. So this is one of the grade levels responses for the pumpkin elevators. If you see right here, it says print QR codes. That is all I would click on. Those QR codes come up like this. I hit print, cut them out. Now I have Flipgrid AR. So that's exactly what I did to put all of those with the students' pumpkin elevators. So I'm taking that and I'm taking it one step further. Here's some examples of how you can use Flipgrid in language arts. Letter of the week, showcase all the things that begin with a letter. So that's super elementary, but it would work. Short story, character profiles, text connections, book commercials. One of the coolest things that I've seen people doing with Flipgrid now is making your own podcast. Kids love to tell you about what they learned, so let them. With a podcast, it's like kind of, you don't see the people. You could put a picture up there and just hear the kid's voice and then share them, and it's kind of like a podcast. And these videos can be anywhere from 15 seconds to 5 minutes when kids are making them. Math examples demonstrate the creation and recognition of patterns, demonstrate how to solve multi-step problems, and show your work. This is how I did it all the time in math. I would put problems up there and have kids work in small groups, 2 to 3 kids, and they would go and record their Flipgrid video. And then when the kids watched them, I always check to make sure, was their work correct? Is their answer right? Do I need to re-show them how to do it? And if some of them are really off, I could just hide that video and then show the kid how to fix it. They could redo the video. So there's an easy way for me to take down the video if need be. But I would watch these videos and I was mind blown with how these kids were explaining how they were solving math problems, because it was a way I didn't show them and a way I never thought of. So it was crazy to see, these kids are teaching each other through answering these questions, and they were going home and watching it. So yeah, they think they're just watching videos and it's cool, but they're learning while they're doing this. You can show how math is used all around you and geometric formulas and use them to solve problems. And also another neat feature in Flipgrid is there's a whiteboard and blackboard feature. So if I'm recording a Flipgrid video, I can completely get rid of myself, and you can only have a whiteboard on your screen. So I can kind of show you me writing out the work and hear me talking. One thing we've talked about with some teachers at our school is 4th grade and 5th grade math is kind of getting hard for some of these kids. Their parents aren't always understanding the way that we want them to do the work. Yeah, we respect the way they do it, but sometimes you have to do it this way in this assignment. Almost every parent has a smartphone. So one of the 4th grade math teachers and I were talking about, she was like, how can I use this to help parents? So if she records a quick Flipgrid video with a whiteboard, showing herself doing a few examples of that problem, explaining it, you attach that to the homework and send it home, all of a sudden parents are going to know how, or at least have a better idea of how they can help their student. And the kid might be like, oh, I remember that. This is how we do it. So that's an option too. You can send it home, have it help parents, and it's super quick and easy to do. It might take 2 minutes out of your day to create a Flipgrid video that's going to make a huge impact for a student. Science examples. Present observations. That's probably the easiest way. Present things. Classify different kinds of materials based on their properties. Showcase the procedures of an experiment, and present a model or plant. A model of a plant or animal cell. With 5th grade, they created biomes in the science room. So each kid made this little biome thing, and they all got attached. There were 4 of them. So the kids hopped on there and explained their biome. They kind of told about where their area was, all the features of it, and then they went ahead and printed out their QR codes, and they're going to put those on the attached biome. So now you have the 4 biomes attached. The kids can go around and scan them, and now they can see someone explaining their biome in addition to just looking at this little triangular piece of paper. And there is another great feature, because those kids were struggling on those words. So as they were trying to present, a lot of the kids were like reading off their biome, and here's the camera. So there's a good feature called Post-it Note, where they can type all those words onto the computer. So instead of reading off their biome here, I can look at the camera because my Post-it Notes are right here. So that was another good feature when kids were presenting, because some of those words were hard, and it made it more, they were more comfortable. And the nice part about the Post-it Note feature is when you use it, it does not show up in your final video. So if I'm sitting here literally reading word for word off this video, off this Post-it Note, you can't even tell, because when I submit it, you don't see the Post-it Notes, only for the user's side. Social studies. Members of your community, conversations with historical figures, rights and responsibilities, and take a side in a debate and defend your position. So you can kind of do a debate using this. You can use it in specials. Like I said, I use it in STEM. I hear our band teachers using it this year. I'm not sure how he's using it in band, but that's awesome. The kids come back and they're so excited because they're using Flipgrid in 5th grade and 6th grade band. That's pretty cool. So you can showcase random acts of kindness, and I know with Random Act of Kindness Week coming up sometime in the future, that would be an awesome way for kids to show how can you be kind, and it's kind of showing what kindness is to the kids. You can participate in a global read aloud, and I have done this personally. There have been teachers that I have seen post on Twitter that, they teach in a Title I school. They don't have a lot of books available for kids. Their parents aren't reading books to them. And they said, hey, can you read a read aloud and post it on this grid, and we're going to show it to our kids. So I spent 5 minutes reading a read aloud to my computer, which then could help kids in some other district in a state I don't even know, but if it helps. And then students can create tutorials in various subjects, including facts and all that good stuff. You can use this in professional development. I first was introduced to this in a college grad class. I had no idea what Flipgrid is. Was not excited that I had to use it. But after I thought about it and realized the impact this had for my students, I was really thankful I tried it. So you can do book studies, reflections, extend the learning, and then teacher-created tutorials. There's also this thing called Flip Hunts. It's like a Flipgrid scavenger hunt, where you can basically put different QR codes around. The kids can go find them. They can create videos on different topics, and this basically explains what the Flip Hunt is, how you do it. It's a digital video scavenger hunt on Flipgrid, and it's really easy to differentiate. It's creative, it's fun, and it's kinesthetic. You get those kids up, you get them learning, and it's something different. I know when kids come in and see my little voice pod, that's what this is. It's a voice pod. Kids go in these, they shut their little zipper, and they're in here recording. I have 3 of them, and even before I had those, you knew I was doing Flipgrids because I had the whole hallway lined up of kids at different times out there recording their videos. So some kids might be working in my room on math, and I had some kids out in the hallway. I just go check on them. We also tried like printer paper boxes, and we put the computers in those in the classroom and had kids sit in the classroom and record their videos, and it kind of buffered out some of the sound. The only time I have had problems with picking up too much noise has been kindergarten, because they don't know what an indoor voice is. So when I had 15 kindergartners making videos, they'd be like, "Hey, you're in my video! Look what I'm doing!" But other than that, haven't really had problems with kids not being able to do it. And kindergarten can do it, but man, they need some help. So this is an awkward picture of me this morning trying to show you guys without having to bring, because I didn't know how I'd be hooked up. So I just wanted to show you some of the cool features that the video offers. This right here, oh, I'm hooked up. I can probably show you. Let's just do it this way. All right, I'm going to show you what it looks like when the kids, oh, I didn't hook up to the internet. Just kidding. I'll hook up later. But anyway, this is what it looks like when the kids go to record. This little thing right here is the sticky note. That's how kids can go ahead and type in those words that they need. And it just posts little yellow boxes, and that's how they can type the words they need to read. Or when I'm doing these for students and I want them to follow directions, I can't remember what I want to say. So I type in a few quick things there, and I try and hit those points as I'm presenting to the kids using this. This little button here shows the question again, so kids can go back and see what the question is, because I can't tell you how many times kids get into the hallway and they come back in and say, "Mrs. May, what am I doing again?" Instead of doing that, they can click right here and find their question. This timer tells me that I have 1 minute and 30 seconds, because that's normally what I set mine up to, just a quick 1:30 seconds. This gives them a background. Sometimes it's like a colored background, or you can do a pixelated. So it would look like I'm a whole pixelated person. Those kids who are camera shy, who get nervous, they can easily pixelate their picture, and they feel more comfortable. Another thing I've had a lot of students do is this is emojis. They'll put a big smiley face over their face, and they feel comfortable then talking. My older students don't normally, but it's a lot of my younger ones. They get nervous, they like to put those up there, or say they're talking about one first grader wanted to tell me he was cold. So as he's talking, you can see him looking down there, and he found a emoji of a blue cold person, and then he pulls it down. And then he's like, "I'm nervous," or something, and puts up another emoji. So the students can pause as they're going through and add words, add emojis, add smiley faces, make it really fun for them. This is the paintbrush here, so students could write across here as they're working. There's like all sorts of colors. There's a rainbow font, tons of fun stuff. And then the last one right here, this is your whiteboard and blackboard. That's going to turn the screen completely white or completely black, and you can still hear the person talking. You can see them writing. That's a great feature for math. I wish they had that last year when I taught this 5th grade math. I had the kids standing there with their whiteboard trying to write and show their work because that feature wasn't there yet. This one here adds a picture, and then this would add a picture here too. You can add a picture from your computer. So when I'm sometimes talking about a Flipgrid video, I might be giving the kids hey, you're gonna do a Flipgrid video on this. I might take a screenshot of it and put a picture of the video right up here, or a picture of like the worksheet we're gonna do, or a picture of a person that we're gonna talk about, so the kids kind of have an idea. And now if you would like, you can try this on your computer. So some of you already created a Flipgrid account, but it might be nice to see what it looks like from the kids' point of view. So I've actually created a grid just for today. So if you want to play around and look into this and see how it will be for your students, this is an easy spot to do that. I put a prompt up there. You don't have to answer it. You can if you want, but it's a great way to just play around with the features. So I would go to flipgrid.com, and then here's the code, Mayhan 120. In the top left-hand corner, it says enter a flip code. In the top left-hand corner, it says enter a flip code. You can enter that code in, Mayhan 120, and that's going to get you to something just for today. It's something about introductions. You don't have to make one, but it's a great place to look around. So those titles at the top two that I told you about, you have the Disco Library. That gives you all your pre-made ideas, super beneficial. You have your grids. It tells you your achievements, your students' engagement time. There's so much you can do. So I'd like to give you some time to play around, and if you have questions with this, I'd be super happy to help. Maybe you can set up your classroom grid and figure out how you want students to log in. If you have classroom emails, they can log in through their email. If not, it's a little harder and you have to type all your students' names, give them a code.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So earlier you were talking about all the apps that you could use Flipgrid with. Can you explain or give me an example of how you would use like a Google Doc and Flipgrid together? Like what does that look like? Or
How would you
some of it?
Yes. So sometimes, how do you mean? I have used, like when I did a Flipgrid video when the kids were going to do Google Drawings, and I was going to have them make me a meme. So I kind of put a picture up there of my Google Drawings and what it looks like, and then I would kind of start explaining it. And then I put up like, paused it, erased it, and then added another picture as I was going through to kind of show them. But I know it goes with like Book Creator. So if you would use like Book Creator or Nearpod or some of those pre-made apps that they go with, they call it app smashing, and they actually combine the two apps. So you can put your Flipgrid code right into your Book Creator. So there's things like that with the app smashing. I haven't done as much with Google Docs, but you could easily take your Flipgrid code and put it into your Google Doc.
And then they would just take a picture of it and get the video of whatever it is you want.
Yeah.
Can they easily embed like their video into Google Docs?
So as soon as you, let me get my Wi-Fi onto here, and I can kind of give you a little more. I didn't think of that.
It's okay. You just mentioned a lot of apps, and so I was just trying to figure out how they incorporate each other, how they work together.
Okay, so when I'm here, I have a lot of apps up. But so my activity here shows everything that my students, like recent videos. Here is my grids. So that's just what the ones I have in my classroom. Here is the Grid Pals. This is where I was telling you can make connections with other teachers. Oh, I'm not going to do it right now. And then the Disco Library, this is where it shows you the apps that they work with.
And so probably I would just need to get in and play around and see how they would.
This works. I mean, I can show you. Come on, Wi-Fi. I'm connecting.
I'm just trying to think through like what are the differences between like a Google Classroom type approach and this. And I understand like the video part of it, but what else? Like could they, I mean, would you use them both because they do different features? Flipgrid.
I used Flipgrid all the time, and I used it as a way, like I said, for students, as a formative assessment, as a way for students to share. And I did use Google Classroom. I would put projects up into Google Classroom. Sometimes I could put the app question in there, or still be like, hey, go to Flipgrid and check this out. I think you could use both. But the only thing that would be different is like your Google assignments on Google Classroom go right back to you. This would all go back to your grid, and it doesn't look like I'm getting Wi-Fi, so I'm very sorry for that. But there is a lot of great features with Flipgrid. So do you have Wi-Fi? Okay, click on Disco Library. And if you go down a little bit, so here are some of the apps that they go with. So they go with the Tinkercats, they go with Epic, they go with Skype, and they make it so that the two kind of work and collaborate together. The only ones I've really done it with is some of the code.org stuff and the Book Creator, because I love Book Creator, and it was a way that you were taking your book that was already interactive, and you could take those Flipgrids and put them into there. I think there are good features to both Google Classroom and this, but I think it's, I don't know that one I would say is better than the other.
Sounds like you would use them for different purposes.
Yes,
really.
yes. This is mainly to give students that voice, to kind of let students go and talk about what they know, and it's, like I said, the kids loved it, and especially with the younger kids, they love YouTube. They love that thing of, you know, when you ask them what they want to be a YouTuber. So it's a way for them to kind of get on there, and they have this personality, and it was really great to see. So you can play around when you get in there with the one I sent you, with the camera, because it's interesting to see what it would look like. So if you go to the grid that I just put up there earlier for you, which I can put that back up.
How do we go to that if we're...
To where?
I mean, can I just enter code, or do I have to scan?
No.
Because if I went to...
Do me a favor and log out. Hit log out for me. Enter flip code. So how do you kind of log in as a student this time? So you would enter the code Mayhan 120 on there. Yep. And now, when I post a question to a student, this is what they see. So if you scroll down a little bit. So this is the random question I put. And one cool feature is there's an immersion reader, or immersive reader, whatever that word is. And any question that I post, like I said, I teach kindergartners. They can't read. So I can click on this blue feature called the Immersive Reader, and it pops up big, and it reads the question to the kids. And there's immersive reading the whole way through. So when I put a response on there, I can respond to any student's video, and it can go straight to their email, or it can go to the video. I can record a video response to the student that only they see. And all that stuff can be used in Immersive Reader, and it reads it to them. So if you can't read, and even some of my older struggling students, I don't want them to be stressed out. So I'm like, click on the Immersive Reader if you need it, and it reads the question to them. It reads everything to them. So that way, they can still participate and not feel like they're struggling. And that's great for some of my special ed kids, too. So if you click on the green plus sign, that's what it will look like if you create a video. And that's how you can kind of play around with the camera. So then you'll hit log in with Google, or that's what I log in with. That's what I'm so used to telling the kids that. Log in with Google. Log in with whatever makes you feel comfortable. And I also have some Flipgrid lanyards and stickers up here if anyone wants a Flipgrid lanyard or sticker. When you tell them they're presenting, they give you like free cool stuff. Like my fancy t-shirt. So does anybody have any questions about Flipgrid? Perfect. So that's hit allow, so you can use your camera. And that's what it's going to look like when you go to record now. So I like to play around with the buttons and see what it would be like. I practice so that way the kids know what, and you can explain it to them.
I put a response on your thing. Can
Oh,
I see what
thanks.
it looks like on yours?
If my Wi-Fi ever works.
Oh yeah, sorry. I guess I forgot that was.
Hey Katie, do you know why I don't have Wi-Fi? Trish is here. Perfect. Learner 2020, isn't that what it is? Who lets me do this stuff? Didn't work Wi-Fi. Oh, I'm there. Okay. I just put in the wrong password. Come on, you can do this. All right, there we go. So you said you created a video. This is what it looks like on my side now. I click on this, and I can see that there's one video with one view. So I can click on it. So this is what it looks like once she created it. I can super quickly go through and say, wow, great idea. Your performance was super. And I can send her a quick little response, and I can either email it, I can copy it for a link, and one feature that I love, because like I said, I do this with kindergarten through 5th grade, and I like to watch those videos before I let them see it, because you don't know what they're going to say sometimes. If I click on this, I can up the speed. So I normally up the speed to about 1.5, and it makes those kids talk faster, and I can watch so many more videos in that time. I can click here, and this is the Immersive Reader, and it tells me exactly what her response would have said. I can edit it. I can kind of change if she put a name in there that I'm like, I want you to use your real name, you didn't listen. I can change all that. Right here is I can hide the videos, and then if I want to go ahead and share it, just like the students can see this part on theirs, they can copy this link and put it in their Google Doc, or they can send it to someone in an email if they want to. Or they can click on their QR code, they can download it, and then they can put that in anything they want to.
So for a kid, like let's say I did a whole class project and each kid created their own, the best, well I guess I'm thinking there are 2 ways for them to watch each other's. They either print off the QR codes and they go around and look, or put all of the links on Google Classroom.
Or you can watch it right there. So let me show you another example. Let me go back up here. So I'm gonna think of which one would be a good one. So here's the science class that just created their biomes. I'll look at this as a student, because I can see it as a student. So if I'm the student now, this is what it looks like on their biome projects. Now I can click on any one of these kids, and I can watch their video. As a student, they can all watch their videos on here. They can leave responses to them. So you can turn that off or on if you want to let them record a video response. They love to do it. In the STEM lab, when I did those pumpkin elevators, I said, go ahead and record a response. So I had 3rd graders giving, positive feedback, constructive criticism, things that they liked, things that they had questions about. They could leave responses on here for them. So they can go through and watch every video, and it'll just keep playing one to the next.
It looks like they can give a little subtitle there too, so if there's different categories they could choose.
Like this kid did the tundra, she did whatever that biome is, the rainforest. And their favorite part is at the end, it makes you take a selfie. And you can edit the selfie. So if you see, some of these kids are in my voice pod, some of them are showing off their biome. Some of them, she put the tundra's cold. This kid wanted to cover up his face, and that's perfectly fine too. So there's all sorts of ways. You have some filters going on. You have kids without, not even their face at all. Yeah, so they can even type on their picture and put a title. I let them be creative. This person just put, about what their biome was. So it allows kids to really be creative. Do you have any other questions or?
If they want to share with their parents, do they log in this way, or do they do a QR code, or how do they?
Either. They could print off the QR code, take it home with them, or they can log on to Flipgrid from anywhere. And what I do with kids, so let me get back up to the top. You have a classroom code, and that will take kids to your Flipgrid classroom. I gotta find hers. So the 5th grade science, this is her flip code, Ritterling. So when it says enter a flip code, if you type in that Ritterling, you guys, it won't work for you because I have it secured, but it would take you to all the questions that have been posted. So you can access it. And that's when I tell kids, in math, I didn't have a lot of time. So I gave them the classroom code. I said, watch it at home, respond from home. And I had kids who were sick for like a week at a time. I sent the Flipgrid code home, and every single time that student was able to participate from their house, whether they were sick or whatever. So it kind of allowed kids to be involved and participate even if they weren't there.
So with that code, they see like all the kids'
They can see all the kids' videos. Yep, this code would take you to the whole class, which this class, like I said, that's not, let me take it in my, when I did math. 5th grade math, there it is. So this was my math class. If I click on the code, always makes me log in, even though I logged in like 15 times. This is what my math class looked like. Oh, just kidding, that's just that one video. But they could go on and see all the questions I asked, and they could click on different ones and watch. And I had a lot of kids showing their parents. I had a lot of kids watching it from home. I had Mrs. Stribbing watching it from her house because I shared the code with them. So, and like I said, the teachers like to be the co-pilots because I felt like they learned a lot about their kids from their introductions. And with this, I'd say start out easy. I started out with an introduction, and it was a great way for kids to get comfortable with it. Once they got comfortable, the first few times, it took a while for them to make their videos. After that, I mean, they moved, and it was great. Yeah?
When I first signed up, I saw a Google Classroom icon. How do I integrate this into Google Classroom?
You know, I'm not of much help with that because I don't use Google. I'm now a STEM teacher, I don't use it as much. But I think it'd be, like she asked, I think it'd be compatible. You can probably post stuff with it, but I don't have a great answer.
I bet there's a link you can go to add the
There was
assignment.
an icon right in Flipgrid when I first
Then most likely they're compatible, and you can probably do stuff through Flipgrid and Google Classroom. Yes, I wish I had a better answer, but I'm sorry I don't.
Well, it looks like on one of the things you were doing where you could copy the link, it had a Google Classroom thing. So like when you post a question or a
You can
thing,
probably just post it straight to Google Classroom.
that's what I'm thinking, and then it will shoot them over to this website.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Well, that's all I have. So if anyone, please come take these stickers because I got a ton. You can all have my voice pod, and if you'd like to stick around and watch 20 minutes of me trying to put this together, it's going to be great because it does not go back in that bag easily. So that's all I have. Thank you.
It's good.
Thank you.